The sound of her tooth shattering was nothing compared to the sound that came next. Her father's voice at the door. Rebecca stood there, 6 months pregnant, holding her screaming toddler, blood pouring from her mouth, and she had exactly 3 seconds to make a choice that would change everything. Open the door and tell the truth, or protect the man who just broke her tooth with his fist? What happened in those 3 seconds would lead to a courtroom battle, a family legacy of violence spanning generations, and one woman's fight to save her daughters from repeating her mistakes. This is a story about the moment when staying becomes more dangerous than leaving, about a father who showed up at exactly the right time, and about a woman who discovered that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is ask for help. But before we begin, if stories of survival, justice, and transformation speak to you, hit that subscribe button. And if this story resonates with you or someone you know, leave a comment below. Your story matters too. The algorithm rewards engagement, and honestly, your comments help other survivors find this channel. So let's get into it. The night everything changed started like any other night, until it didn't. The sound came first, sharp, wet, wrong, then the pain, then Emma screaming. Rebecca's hand flew to her mouth, something hard, something loose. Her tongue found the jagged edge where her front tooth used to be. Blood filled her mouth, warm, metallic, too much blood. She was on the floor. She didn't remember falling. Emma screamed in her lap, 18 months old and terrified. Becca's other hand went to her belly, 6 months pregnant. The baby kicked, hard, like she knew something was wrong. Trevor stood over them, his hand still raised, his face red, that vein in his forehead throbbing the way it always did when he got angry. "Look what you made me do," he said. Becca couldn't speak. Her mouth hurt too much. Blood dripped onto her white maternity shirt. She'd bought it last week. On sale. Trevor said she didn't need new clothes, said she was getting fat anyway. But her regular shirts didn't fit anymore. Emma's little hands grabbed at Becca's face. "Mama? Mama?" "Shh, baby, it's okay." The words came out wet, slurred, more blood. It wasn't okay. Nothing was okay. She sat there, one hand protecting her belly, the other covering her bleeding mouth, Emma screaming in her lap. And all she could think was, thank God we don't have neighbors close enough to hear. That's what her brain did, protected him. Even now, even with her tooth broken and blood everywhere and her daughter crying. Her first thought was, thank God no one knows. Trevor paced, back and forth across their living room. The room they'd painted together when they first moved in, pale blue. He'd said it reminded him of the ocean. That was back when he still said nice things. "You wouldn't shut up," he said. "I asked you one simple thing. Keep Emma quiet. I had a long day at work. Is that too much to ask?" Becca wanted to say, she's a baby. Babies cry. She wanted cookies before dinner. That's normal. That's what toddlers do. But her mouth wouldn't work right. And even if it did, what good would it do? He never listened. He always had a reason. Always had an excuse for why it was her fault. The knock at the door made them both freeze. 3 sharp raps. Loud. Firm. "Don't answer that," Trevor said. Another knock. Louder this time. "Becca, you in there, honey?" Her father's voice. Trevor's eyes went cold. That look. The one that meant he was calculating, planning, deciding what story to tell. "I swear to God, Rebecca, if you say one word, Becca!" Her father's voice again. More urgent now. "Your mom's worried. You didn't answer her texts." 3 seconds. That was all she had. Trevor watching her. Emma still crying, blood dripping from her chin. She could say they were fine. Say she'd call mom back. Say they were just putting Emma to bed. Trevor would smile, squeeze her shoulder a little too hard. A warning. And her father would leave, go home. Tell mom that Becca said everything was fine. Everything would go back to normal. Except normal meant this. Normal meant walking on eggshells. Normal meant apologies she didn't mean. Normal meant long sleeves in summer to hide the bruises. Becca looked at Emma, really looked at her, 18 months old. Blue eyes wide with fear, tears streaming down her chubby cheeks. She didn't understand what was happening, but she knew it was bad. She knew her mama was hurt. And something inside Becca broke, not her tooth. That was already broken. Something else. Something that had been bending for 2 years. Since the first time Trevor grabbed her arm too hard. Since the first time he called her stupid. Since the first time she made excuses for him. Dad? Her voice came out wrong, wet, broken, but loud enough. Trevor lunged, but Becca was already moving, crawling toward the door. Emma clutched against her chest, her pregnant belly making it awkward, hard to move fast. But she moved. The lock. Where was the lock? Her hands shook. Blood made them slippery. Rebecca, I'm warning you. The lock turned. The handle. The door swung open. Robert Sullivan took one look at his daughter's bleeding mouth, at his granddaughter screaming, at Trevor frozen mid-step with his fist raised. Becca, get behind me. Not a question. Not a request. A command. The voice he'd used as a firefighter. The voice that meant lives were at stake. Becca scrambled behind her father. He filled the doorway. 68 years old, but still solid, still strong, 25 years of carrying people out of burning buildings. He put himself between Becca and Trevor. What happened to her face? Robert asked. His voice was quiet, too quiet, the kind of quiet that came before explosions. It's not what it looks like, Trevor said. He held up his hands, palms out. See? I'm harmless. She fell, tripped over Emma's toys, hit the coffee table. Becca looked at the coffee table. 8 feet away. No blood on it, no toys nearby. That's so? Robert said. Yeah, it happened so fast. I was just about to get ice. Then why's your hand red? Trevor looked at his hand, at his right palm, at the red mark across it, the shape of Becca's face. I don't know what you think you saw. I know what my daughter's face looks like when someone hits it. Robert took a step forward. I also know what a liar looks like. And son, you're both. You can't just barge into my house. This is my daughter. That's my granddaughter. And if you think I'm leaving them here with you, you're out of your goddamn mind. Becca had never heard her father curse, not once in 30 years. Trevor's face changed, the charm disappeared. The mask slipped. You have no right. Pack a bag, Robert said to Becca, still not looking at Trevor, still blocking the doorway. Get whatever you and Emma need for a few days. She's not going anywhere, Trevor said. She's my wife. She's my daughter, and she's bleeding. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to step aside, you're going to let her pack, and you're going to stay the hell away from her while she does. Or what? Robert finally looked at Trevor, really looked at him. Or I stop being civilized about this. The two men stared at each other. Trevor was taller, younger, 33 to Robert's 58. But Robert had something Trevor didn't. Purpose, the absolute certainty that he would do whatever it took to protect his child. Trevor looked away first. Fine, he said. Let her run home to Daddy, but she'll be back. They always come back. Becca wanted to say something, wanted to tell him she was never coming back. But her mouth hurt too much. And Emma was still crying, and she just wanted to leave, just wanted to get her daughter somewhere safe. She went to the bedroom, threw things in a bag. Diapers, wipes, Emma's favorite stuffed rabbit, some clothes. She moved fast, her hands shaking the whole time. Trevor appeared in the doorway. You're making a mistake. She didn't answer, just grabbed Emma's toothbrush from the bathroom. Becca, come on. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you. You know I'd never really hurt you. The words were familiar. She'd heard them before, after the first time, after every time. I'll get help, Trevor said. I'll go to counseling, whatever you want. She'd heard that before too. Think about Emma. Think about what this does to our family. She looked at him, really looked at him, at this man she'd married, this man who'd seemed so perfect 2 years ago, charming, attentive. Everyone loved Trevor. Her friends thought she was so lucky. She thought about Emma, about what it would do to her to grow up watching her father hit her mother, to learn that this was what love looked like. She thought about the baby in her belly, her daughter, another girl who might learn to accept violence as affection. We're leaving, she said. Her father was waiting by the door. He took the bag, took Emma, let Becca walk out first. This isn't over, Trevor called after them. You can't keep my daughter from me. I'll get a lawyer. I'll get a lawyer, Robert said. We'll be getting one too, and the police, and a restraining order. You want to fight? We'll fight, but you're not winning this one. They left. Becca sat in her father's truck, Emma in her lap, no car seat. They'd forgotten the car seat. But it didn't matter. They just needed to go, needed to get away. Her father drove, didn't ask questions, just drove. One hand on the wheel, the other reaching over to squeeze Becca's shoulder. Gentle, the way hands should touch. The way they'd stopped touching when she married Trevor. We're going to the hospital, Robert said. I'm fine. You're not fine. You're bleeding. You need a doctor. Becca pressed the baby blanket against her mouth. It came away red. So much blood. How did teeth bleed this much? And then we're calling the police, her father continued. And then we're getting you somewhere safe, your mother and I. We're going to make sure you and the girls are safe. The girls, plural, Emma and the baby, both his granddaughters, both in danger as long as Trevor was around. Becca started to cry, really cried. Not the quiet tears she'd cried in the bathroom when Trevor was asleep, not the ones she hid from everyone, including herself. These were loud, ugly, the kind of crying that came from somewhere deep. I'm sorry, Daddy, she sobbed. I'm so sorry. You have nothing to be sorry for, he said. His voice was thick. Nothing, you hear me? This is not your fault. But it felt like her fault. She'd married him, ignored the warning signs, made excuses, stayed when she should have left. The emergency room was bright. Too bright, everything hurt, her mouth, her head, her heart. The fluorescent lights buzzed, a constant hum that made Becca's head ache worse. Or maybe that was from hitting the floor. She couldn't remember. The last hour was a blur of pain and movement and Emma's crying. A nurse named Maria cleaned the blood from Becca's face. She was gentle, patient, talking in a soft voice the whole time. You're doing great, honey. Almost done. Just need to see where all this blood is coming from. Emma had finally stopped crying. Someone gave her a stuffed bear. Pink, fluffy. Emma clutched it against her chest. Wouldn't let go. She sat in her grandfather's lap in the corner, watching her mother with wide eyes. Mama okay? Emma asked. Mama's going to be just fine, sweetheart, Maria said. But she looked at Becca when she said it, her eyes asking a different question. Are you really okay? Becca wasn't okay. She'd probably never be okay again. The word felt too big, too real. Abuse, that happened to other women, women on TV, women in shelters, women who didn't have college degrees and nice houses and friends who envied their seemingly perfect lives. Not women like her, except it did happen to women like her. It happened to her. The doctor will be in soon, Maria said. She disposed of the bloody gauze, washed her hands, turned to leave, then stopped, turned back. Whatever happened tonight, whatever you tell the doctor, just know that we believe you. Okay? We believe you. Why did that make Becca want to cry again? Dr. Catherine Ross looked tired. It was almost midnight. She'd probably been working for hours, but her eyes were kind when she examined Becca's mouth. This kind of impact, Dr. Ross said carefully, it takes significant force. Becca nodded. Her jaw ached with the movement. I need to ask you something, and you can tell me the truth. Did someone do this to you? The question hung there. Becca could lie, could say she fell, could protect Trevor the way she'd been protecting him for 2 years. But Emma was watching, and the baby was kicking, and her tooth was broken. And she was so tired of lying. Yes, Becca whispered. Saying it out loud changed it, made it real, made it something she couldn't take back. Dr. Ross nodded slowly, like she'd expected that answer. Who? My husband. Has he hurt you before? Another question that demanded truth, another chance to keep the secret or finally tell it. Becca looked at her hands, at the wedding ring on her finger. White gold, simple, beautiful. Trevor had proposed on the beach, sunrise, romantic. Everyone said it was perfect. Yes, she said again. DeRoss made notes on her tablet. I'm going to document your injuries. Take some photos, is that okay? Why? In case you wanted to press charges or get a restraining order. It helps to have medical records. Evidence. Evidence, like a crime, which it was. Hitting your wife was a crime. Becca nodded. The next hour was a blur. X-rays of her mouth, photos of her face, bruises she'd forgotten about. Fingerprints on her upper arms from 3 days ago when Trevor grabbed her. A bruise on her hip from 2 weeks ago when he shoved her against the counter. She'd explained that one away, told herself she was just clumsy. Pregnancy made her uncoordinated, except it wasn't clumsiness. It was Trevor. Your front tooth is cracked, Dieter Ross said, looking at the x-rays. The root is damaged. You're going to need dental work, probably an implant. How much does that cost? A few $1,000s, maybe more. Becca didn't have a few $1,000s. Trevor controlled their money, gave her an allowance for groceries, made her show him receipts, said he was managing their finances, preparing for the baby. We'll make a temporary cap for now, Dieter Ross said, to protect the nerve, but you need to see a dentist soon. After the x-rays came the police. Detective Sarah Mitchell arrived at 12:30 in the morning. She wore jeans and a blazer, her hair pulled back in a ponytail. Off duty, but still came in. Hi, Rebecca, she said. Not Becca. Her full name, formal, official. I'm Detective Mitchell. I investigate domestic violence cases. Can we talk? Becca looked at her father. He still held Emma. The toddler had fallen asleep against his chest, the pink bear tucked under her chin. You want me to come with you? Robert asked. Becca shook her head. Can you call Mom? Tell her we're okay? He nodded, stood carefully, carried Emma out into the waiting room, giving Becca privacy she wasn't sure she wanted. Detective Mitchell sat in the chair her father had vacated, pulled out a notebook, a camera. I need to take some photos. Document your injuries. Is that all right? The doctor already did. I know. But I need them for the police report. Different system. More photos? Becca's broken tooth, her swollen jaw, the bruises on her arms. Tell me what happened tonight, Detective Mitchell said. Her voice was gentle, not demanding, just asking. So Becca told her about Emma wanting cookies, about Trevor's bad day, about the slap, the broken tooth, her father showing up, leaving. Has he hit you before? The same question everyone kept asking. The answer was still yes. Tell me about the first time. Becca closed her eyes, remembered. 6 months into the marriage, an argument about his mother. Something stupid. She couldn't even remember what. Just that Diane had criticized something. Becca had agreed, and Trevor got angry. He grabbed her arm, squeezed, twisted, left bruises that looked like fingerprints. He cried after, said he was sorry, said it would never happen again, said his father used to do that to his mother, said he didn't want to be like his dad, would get help, would change. Becca believed him. It happened again 3 months later. He said she'd provoked him. She was always starting fights, always pushing his buttons. If she'd just learned to keep quiet, he wouldn't get so angry. Then 6 weeks later, then 2 weeks, then whenever she said something he didn't like, did something he disagreed with, looked at him wrong. But he never hit her face before, never where people could see. When did you stop telling people? Detective Mitchell asked. The question hit Becca like another slap. She couldn't remember exactly when, just that she stopped mentioning the arguments, stopped calling her friends when she was upset, started saying she was clumsy when she had bruises, started wearing long sleeves in summer, started lying, to everyone, but mostly to herself. I don't know, Becca whispered. Somewhere along the way, I just stopped talking about it. That's normal, Detective Mitchell said. Victims often isolate themselves, sometimes because the abuser demands it, sometimes because they're ashamed, sometimes both. Victims. Was that what Becca was? A victim? The word felt heavy, wrong. She wasn't helpless, wasn't weak. She had a college degree, a career, a good family, but she also had a broken tooth and bruises and a husband who hit her. I need to tell you something, Detective Mitchell said. She pulled out her phone, showed Becca something. Police reports. From 5 years ago, Becca read the names. Trevor Morgan, Amanda Harrison. Who's Amanda Harrison? Your husband's ex-girlfriend. She filed 3 domestic violence reports against him, then dropped them all, then moved to another state. The world tilted. Trevor had done this before, to someone else, before Becca. He told me she was crazy, Becca said. Her voice sounded far away. said she was obsessed with him, couldn't accept that he'd moved on. That's what abusers do, Detective Mitchell said. They rewrite history, make their victims seem unstable, set up the narrative before anyone questions them. I tried to warn you, a voice said. Becca turned. A woman stood in the doorway, mid-30s, dark hair, familiar somehow. I'm Amanda, the woman said. Trevor's ex. Amanda Harrison looked normal. That was Becca's first thought. She looked like someone you'd see at the grocery store, at the park, at a PTA meeting, brown hair pulled back, jeans, a sweater. Normal, not crazy, not obsessed, just normal. I messaged you, Amanda said. She stayed in the doorway, uncertain, like she might run if Becca told her to leave. On Facebook, a week before your wedding. Becca remembered. A message from a stranger, a long, rambling message about Trevor, about how he was dangerous, how Becca needed to call off the wedding, how she was making a terrible mistake. Becca showed it to Trevor. He said Amanda was his ex, said she'd become obsessed after they broke up, started stalking him, making up lies, trying to ruin his life. He said she'd probably contact Becca, try to turn her against him. He seemed sad about it, disappointed that someone he'd cared about had become so unhinged. Becca blocked Amanda, deleted the message, felt sorry for Trevor, for having to deal with a crazy ex. I'm sorry, Amanda whispered. I tried. You said he was dangerous, Becca said. You said he'd hurt me, and you didn't believe me. He said you were lying. I know, that's what he told me about his ex before me too. The room went quiet. Even the fluorescent lights seemed to stop buzzing. There was someone before you, Becca asked. Amanda nodded. I found out about her later, after I left. She'd also filed reports, also dropped them, also disappeared. A pattern. Trevor had a pattern. This wasn't bad luck or anger management issues or stress from work. This was who he was, who he'd always been. Tell me everything, Becca said. Amanda looked at Detective Mitchell. The detective nodded, pulled out a chair. Have a seat. Take your time. Amanda sat, took a breath, started talking. It starts slow, she said. He's charming, attentive, makes you feel special, like you're the only woman in the world. He texts constantly, calls during lunch, wants to spend every moment with you. Becca nodded. She remembered. Those first few months had been intoxicating. Trevor was so interested in her, so present. Her friends were jealous, said they wished they could find a guy like that. Then little criticisms, Amanda continued. Subtle at first. Your friends are bad influences. Your family doesn't understand him. You work too much. You don't appreciate him enough. He said I spent too much time with my college friends, Becca heard herself say. Said they were still living like they were 20. Said I needed to focus on our marriage instead. And you listened, Amanda said. Not a question, a statement. I did. I stopped going to girls' nights. Stopped texting them as much. I thought I was being a good wife, prioritizing my marriage. Then he isolates you, cuts you off from your support system, makes you dependent on him, controls the money, the car, the phone, everything. Becca's chest felt tight. Trevor gave her an allowance, said it was easier to manage the budget that way, made her ask permission to buy things, even groceries. Then he controls you, Amanda said. What you wear, where you go, who you talk to, makes you ask permission for everything. He said my skirts were too short, Becca whispered. Said other men were looking at me. Said I was embarrassing him. And then he hurts you, Amanda said. Her voice was flat now, reciting facts. And when you try to leave, he cries, promises to change, says he'll get help, and you believe him because you love him, because you remember who he was in the beginning. But he was never that person, Becca realized. No, he was always this. The beginning was a mask, a performance. Once he had you hooked, the real Trevor came out. Everything shifted. Every memory reframed itself. The whirlwind romance, the quick engagement, the wedding 6 months after they met. He said he knew right away that she was the one. Said, why wait when you've found your soulmate? She thought it was romantic, spontaneous, evidence of true love. Now she understood. It was strategy, Lock her down before she saw the real him, before the mask slipped. I stayed for 18 months after the first time he hit me, Amanda said. You want to know why I finally left? Becca nodded. I found out I was pregnant, and I realized I couldn't bring a child into this. Couldn't let a baby grow up watching their father hit their mother. So I ran, changed my name, started over. Amanda pulled out her phone, showed Becca photos, bruises, black eyes, a broken wrist, a gash on her forehead that had needed stitches. He did all this to you? Becca asked. Over 18 months. Each time saying he was sorry, each time promising to change, each time blaming me for making him angry. Becca looked at the photos, looked at her own reflection in the dark phone screen, saw her swollen jaw, her broken tooth. She was looking at her future, the future she'd have if she went back, if she believed Trevor's apologies, if she gave him another chance. What happened to the baby? Becca asked. Amanda's face closed. I had a miscarriage 3 days after I left. The doctor said it might have been stress, or it might have been the last time Trevor shoved me. We'll never know. Becca's hand went to her belly. The baby kicked, strong, healthy, 6 months along. She had 2 children to protect now. Emma and the baby, both girls, both depending on her to keep them safe. I'm not going back, Becca said. Amanda nodded. That's what I said too, the first 3 times I left. But this time feels different. Your dad came. You have support. That makes all the difference. Becca thought about the women who didn't have support, who didn't have fathers who showed up at the right moment, who didn't have mothers who could fly in from Florida, who didn't have friends with money for lawyers. How many of those women went back because they had nowhere else to go? Detective Mitchell cleared her throat. I need to tell you both something. Trevor is probably building his defense right now, calling people, telling them his version of the story, painting you as unstable, Rebecca, saying you're keeping his daughter from him, making himself the victim. How do you know? Because they all do it. It's part of the pattern. The Darvo strategy: deny, attack, reverse victim and offender. What does that mean? He'll deny he hit you, say you fell or you're lying. He'll attack your credibility, say you're hormonal or crazy or vindictive, and he'll reverse the roles, make himself the victim, say you're destroying the family, keeping his child from him, ruining his life. Becca's phone buzzed again. A text from Trevor. I'm sorry, baby. I didn't mean it. Please come home. Then another. Your dad had no right to make me leave my own house. Then another. You're being dramatic. It was an accident. Detective Mitchell photographed each message. Don't respond. Don't engage. Every text he sends is evidence. Let him keep incriminating himself. 3 more texts came through rapid fire. Think about what this does to Emma. You're destroying our family. If you love me, you'd forgive me. You know I'd never really hurt you. That last one made Becca laugh. A bitter sound, angry. I have a broken tooth that says otherwise. Keep that anger, Detective Mitchell said. You're going to need it. DeRot Ross came back with a folder. Thick, full of papers. I pulled your full medical history, she said. With your permission, I'd like to go through it with you. Becca nodded, braced herself. This ER visit 8 months ago. You said you fell down the stairs? Becca remembered she was 3 months pregnant. Trevor pushed her during an argument about his mother. She grabbed the railing, saved herself and the baby, twisted her ankle. She told the ER doctor she'd tripped. Pregnancy made her clumsy. He pushed me, Becca said now. I grabbed the railing. I was lucky I didn't fall all the way. Dr. Ross made a note. And this one, a year before that, bruised ribs. You said you slipped in the shower. Trevor had slammed her against the bathroom wall. The tiles were wet. She told herself it was an accident. He was just trying to get past her. The bathroom was small. He didn't mean to hurt her, except he did mean it. He always meant it. He slammed me against the wall, Becca said. Each admission felt like pulling out a splinter. Painful, but necessary. Dr. Ross went through the entire file. Sprained wrist, contusions, bruises, always with explanations, always with excuses, always protecting Trevor. You have a documented history of injuries consistent with domestic violence, Dr. Ross said, going back to 6 months after your marriage. 6 months. The first time he hurt her. The first time he apologized. The first time she believed him. How did I become this person? Becca said. Not to Dr. Ross, not to Detective Mitchell, not to Amanda, just to herself. I was the girl who swore she'd never let a man hit her. I was the girl who judged women who stayed. And here I am. I am one of those women. You're a survivor, Esquire, Amanda said. Not a victim, a survivor. You got out. That makes you brave. I didn't get out. My dad rescued me. You opened the door. You could have lied, said everything was fine, sent him away. But you didn't. You asked for help. That's the hardest part. Maybe Amanda was right. Maybe asking for help was brave. It didn't feel brave. It felt like failure, like she'd failed at marriage, failed at protecting her daughter, failed at everything. Her phone buzzed again. More text from Trevor. Detective Mitchell looked at the screen. Her face hardened. I need to show you something else. She pulled up phone records on her laptop. We got a warrant for Trevor's phone. The technology moves fast now. We can pull everything. What did you find? He's been texting someone, a woman named Bridget. Becca knew that name. Bridget worked with Trevor in accounting. They'd met at the company Christmas party. Trevor said she was just a colleague. Detective Mitchell showed Becca the messages. 6 months of them. Hundreds. Can't wait to see you tonight. Becca's being impossible again. She's getting so fat. Pregnancy ruined her body. I can't stand listening to her talk. The baby's coming soon. Then I can leave her. Each message was a knife, each one cutting deeper. There's more, Detective Mitchell said carefully. He's been telling people you are mentally unstable, that you hurt yourself for attention, that he's worried about you being alone with Emma, setting up his defense, building his narrative, laying the groundwork to make everyone believe she was the problem, before she even knew she'd need to defend herself. He's been planning this, Becca said. Probably he's done it before, to Amanda, probably to others. These men have a playbook. They follow it because it works. Becca felt sick, not from the pain in her mouth, from the realization of how thoroughly she'd been manipulated, how carefully Trevor had constructed his lies. I want to press charges, Becca said. Detective Mitchell nodded. I'll start the paperwork. We'll also get you an emergency restraining order. He can't contact you, can't come within 500 feet of you or Emma. He'll violate it. Probably, and when he does, we'll arrest him, and that will help your case. The door slammed open. Trevor's mother, Diane, burst in, pushed past a nurse, got in Becca's face. How dare you call the police on my son? Robert appeared in the doorway, moving to intercept, but Becca held up her hand. Stop. She could handle this. He broke my tooth, Diane. Becca's voice was steady, stronger than she felt. He hit me while I was holding our daughter. You probably provoked him. Trevor said you have been impossible since you got pregnant. Hormonal, irrational, making up stories. Making up stories? Becca pointed to her broken tooth. Is this a story? You could have done that yourself, for attention, to get sympathy. The accusation was so absurd that Becca almost laughed. You think I broke my own tooth? I think you've been trying to turn everyone against my son since you married him. You isolated him from his family, made him choose between you and us. Robert stepped forward. Mrs. Morgan, you need to leave. Now. That's my granddaughter, Diane pointed at Emma, still sleeping in the waiting room, still clutching the pink bear. That's my granddaughter, Robert said. And you're not getting near her until you can act like someone worthy of knowing her. Diane's face went red. You have no idea what you're doing. Trevor is a good man, a good provider. Every marriage has rough patches. You don't just give up when things get difficult. His father was the same way, Detective Mitchell said quietly, not a question. A statement. Diane froze. I pulled the old reports, the detective continued, from 35 years ago. Your husband put you in the hospital twice. Broken arm, concussion. You dropped the charges both times. That was different. How? I never called the police on my husband. I protected my family. I made it work. Marriage is hard. You don't just give up. You protected your abuser, Detective Mitchell said. Her voice was gentle but firm. And taught your son that this is what love looks like, that hitting women is acceptable, that they'll stay anyway. That's not protection. That's enabling. Diane's face crumpled. For a moment, she looked old, tired, defeated. Then the anger came back, the self-righteousness. You'll regret this, she said to Becca. When you're a single mother struggling to make ends meet, when Emma grows up without her father, you'll wish you'd tried harder, been more patient, been a better wife. She stormed out, her heels clicking on the linoleum, the sound fading as she left. Becca looked at Detective Mitchell. His father hit his mother? Multiple times, according to the reports. She never followed through with charges. He never faced consequences. So Trevor learned that hitting women was acceptable, that they'd forgive him, that he could get away with it. A cycle, passed down from father to son, from mother to daughter-in-law, violence normalized across generations. But it stopped here. Becca wouldn't teach Emma that love included pain, wouldn't teach her baby daughter that men got to hit you and you had to forgive them. The cycle ended now. Becca's mother arrived at 3 in the morning. Patricia Sullivan burst into the hospital room and froze, stared at her daughter's swollen face, her broken tooth, the bruises becoming visible now as the swelling increased. "Oh, baby," Patricia breathed. Then she was there, arms around Becca, careful of her injuries. "Oh, my baby girl." Becca held on, buried her face in her mother's shoulder, let herself be small for a moment, let herself be someone's child instead of someone's mother. "I'm sorry," Patricia said, crying now. "I'm so sorry. I should have seen it. I should have known." "He was good at hiding it," Becca said, her voice muffled against her mother's sweater. It smelled like home, like fabric softener and vanilla perfume and safety. "I told myself you were just stressed," Patricia admitted, pulled back to look at Becca, really look at her. "New baby coming, marriage adjustments, normal newlywed stuff. I didn't want to see what was really happening. I didn't want you to see. I was ashamed." "You have nothing to be ashamed of. I married him. I ignored the warning signs. I stayed even when it got bad." "He fooled all of us," Patricia said. "Charming, polite. Everyone thought he was perfect. Even me. Especially me." Becca remembered the engagement party. Her mother had cried happy tears, said she was so relieved Becca had found someone stable, someone who would take care of her. Trevor was good at seeming stable, at performing care, at making everyone believe he was the perfect son-in-law. "I kept thinking about Jen," Patricia said, "your friend from college. She kept asking if you were happy, if Trevor was treating you well, and I told her to stop worrying, said you were fine, said she was being overprotective." Becca remembered those conversations. Jen would call, ask carefully worded questions. "Are you okay? Is everything good at home? Trevor's not giving you any trouble, right?" And Becca would laugh, say everything was perfect, say Jen worried too much, say married life was wonderful. She'd lied so well that even she started to believe it. Her phone buzzed. More text from Trevor. "I'm not letting you take my daughter from me. You're going to regret this. I know where your parents live." That last one made Patricia's face go white. "Is he threatening us?" Detective Mitchell photographed the message. "That's a direct threat. That changes things. I can arrest him tonight." "Do it," Robert said. He'd been quiet, standing guard by the door, before he hurt someone else. "I need to warn you," Detective Mitchell said. "He'll probably make bail within 24 hours. His mother will post it, and then he'll be out, angry, feeling justified." "What do we do?" Becca asked. "We get you somewhere safe, somewhere he doesn't know about, and we prepare for him to fight dirty." Patricia took Becca's hand. "We'll get a hotel, under my name. He won't think to look there." "What about the house? All our things?" "We'll get them later, with police escort. Right now, we just need you and Emma safe." Safe, such a simple word, such a foreign concept. Becca hadn't felt safe in 2 years. She'd forgotten what it felt like. Amanda stood up. "I should go, but I want to give you my number, in case you need to talk to someone who understands." Becca took the number. saved it in her phone. Thank you for coming, for trying to warn me. I wish you'd listened, Amanda said. Not unkindly, just honestly. Me too. After Amanda left, Detective Mitchell finished her paperwork. I'm filing charges for assault and battery, domestic violence, making terroristic threats. He's looking at serious jail time if convicted. Will he be convicted? With your medical records, the photos, the text messages, the history with Amanda? I'd say our chances are good. But good wasn't guaranteed. Becca knew that. She'd watched enough crime shows. Knew that abusers sometimes walked free, sometimes got custody of their children, sometimes murdered their families when they felt they'd lost control. The most dangerous time for an abuse victim is when they leave. She'd read that somewhere. 70% of domestic violence murders happen after separation. Becca looked at Emma, still sleeping in her grandfather's arms. Peaceful, unaware that her whole world had just changed. She looked at her belly, at the daughter growing inside her, due in 3 months. Another little girl who deserved to grow up safe. I'm not going back, Becca said. Good, Detective Mitchell said, because he doesn't deserve you. Either of you. The hotel room smelled like industrial cleaner and stale air conditioning. But it was clean, safe, anonymous. 2 bedrooms, a living room, kitchenette, more space than they needed. But Patricia had insisted. They needed room to breathe, room to process. Becca gave Emma a bath in the big tub. The toddler splashed and played. Normal, sweet, like nothing had happened. Bubbles! Emma shouted, delighted, innocent. The hotel soap smelled like lavender. The towels were scratchy. Emma's laugh echoed off the tile. Becca's jaw ached with every heartbeat, every breath, every moment. The bathwater grew cold. She didn't move to drain it, just sat on the bathroom floor, one hand on the tub edge, one hand on her belly. The baby kicked, strong, insistent, and reminding Becca she was still there, still depending on her mother to keep her safe. She thought about Trevor, about their house, their bed, the life she'd built with him, the life she thought they'd have. All of it was a lie. She'd decorated that house, painted the nursery pale yellow, gender neutral. Before they knew they were having another girl. She'd picked out curtains, bought a crib, washed tiny clothes in baby detergent, planning for a future that would never happen. Emma dumped water over her head, laughed. Mama, look! I see, baby. You're getting so clean. Clean, Emma agreed, splashed more. Becca's tooth throbbed. They'd given her pain medication at the hospital, made her a temporary cap, but it still hurt. Would probably hurt for days, weeks, maybe longer. A permanent reminder, physical evidence that her marriage was broken, had always been broken. She drained the tub finally, wrapped Emma in a scratchy white towel, the hotel logo embroidered in blue. Emma giggled, wiggled, made getting her into pajamas an adventure. Where, Daddy? Emma asked. The question hit Becca like a fist. Emma hadn't asked yet, too young to fully understand what happened. Just knew they were somewhere different, somewhere that smelled wrong, looked wrong. Daddy's at home, Becca said, which was true. Probably true, unless the police had arrested him yet. Go home. Not tonight, baby. Tonight we're having an adventure with Grandma and Grandpa. Emma seemed satisfied with that answer. She loved her grandparents, spent weekends at their house sometimes. This was like that, just longer. She didn't know this might be forever. After Emma was asleep, clutching her pink bear, Becca joined her parents in the living room. Her father had ordered pizza. The boxes sat on the coffee table, cooling. No one was eating. You should eat something, Patricia said. Not pushing, just offering. I can't. My mouth hurts too much. There's soup. I can heat it up. I'm not hungry. She wasn't. Hadn't been hungry in hours, maybe days. When was the last time she'd eaten? Before Trevor hit her? Before the fight? Before everything fell apart? Robert sat in the armchair by the window. He'd been quiet all night, processing. Becca knew that look, her father working through his thoughts before speaking them. Dad, she said. He looked at her. His eyes were red, from crying, from anger, from exhaustion. Maybe all three. I wanted to kill him, Robert said. Simple, direct. When I saw your face, when I realized what he'd done, I wanted to kill him with my bare hands. Dad, your mother had to physically stop me, hold me back. And I'm not a violent man, Becca. 68 years old and I've never hit anyone in anger. But seeing what he did to you, to my little girl. His voice broke, stopped. He took a breath. I should have protected you better. Becca went to him, knelt by his chair, took his hands. You can't protect someone from something they're hiding. I was so good at hiding it, even from myself. I should have seen the signs. He was good at hiding them too. They sat like that, father and daughter, both crying now, both grieving the life Becca had lost, the marriage that never really existed, the grandchild that would grow up without a father worth knowing. Patricia joined them, made it a group hug, a family, broken but together. We're going to get through this, Patricia said. All of us, together. Becca wanted to believe her, wanted to think that leaving was the hardest part, that everything would be easier now. But she knew better, knew that leaving was just the beginning. The hard part was staying gone, fighting for custody, rebuilding a life, learning to trust again, if she ever could trust again. Her phone buzzed. Trevor again. Please, baby, let's talk. I can explain everything. Detective Mitchell had said not to respond, to document everything. Let him incriminate himself. So Becca just watched the messages come in, one after another. Apologies, threats, promises, accusations. The cycle repeating, the pattern continuing. He'd done this to Amanda, probably to others, the same script, the same performance. Becca blocked his number. She should have done it hours ago. But part of her wanted to see what he'd say, wanted proof that he was exactly who she feared he was. She had her proof now. She couldn't sleep. 3 in the morning and her mind wouldn't stop, wouldn't slow down. Every thought led to another. Every memory reframed itself. She sat in the dark living room, used her phone to Google things that she should have Googled 2 years ago. Signs of emotional abuse. Every article listed the same things. Isolation, control, gaslighting, criticism disguised as concern, making her doubt her own reality. Check, check, check. Why victims stay. Fear, financial dependence, shame, hope that he'll change, love, children, nowhere else to go. Check, check, check. Most dangerous time for abuse victims. When they leave, when they assert independence, when they threaten his control. Becca had just threatened Trevor's control, taken his daughter, called the police, pressed charges, destroyed his carefully constructed image. He would be angry, dangerous, desperate. She thought about his text. I know where your parents live. Was that a threat? Would he actually hurt them? Yes. The answer was yes. Because men who hit pregnant wives were capable of anything. Detective Mitchell called the next morning. We arrested Trevor last night. He's in custody. Assault and battery. Violation of restraining order. Making terroristic threats. He violated the restraining order already? He showed up at your house. Broke a window trying to get in. A neighbor called it in. Their neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, elderly, lived alone. She'd probably been terrified. His arraignment is this afternoon. His mother will probably post bail. Then he'll be out. Probably by tonight. That's why I'm calling. I want to connect you with a domestic violence support group. Women who've been through this, who understand. Becca wasn't sure she wanted to sit in a circle with strangers, sharing her story, listening to theirs. It sounded exhausting. But Detective Mitchell insisted, gave her an address, a time, said it would help. So that evening, Becca went. Her mother watched Emma. Her father drove her. Waited in the parking lot, ready to rescue her again if she needed it. The support group met in a church basement. Fluorescent lights, folding chairs, coffee that smelled burnt. 8 women sat in a circle. Different ages, different races, different backgrounds, same story. The group leader, Sharon, welcomed Becca, asked her to share if she was comfortable. No pressure. Becca sat, looked at these women, these strangers who somehow knew her better than her oldest friends. My name is Rebecca, she said, her voice small. My husband broke my tooth when I was holding in our daughter. I'm 6 months pregnant, and I don't know how I got here. One woman, Carol, probably 60, nodded. I was married 32 years before I left. You know what he did? He apologized every single time. And I believed him. Every single time. How long did you stay after the first time he hit you? Another woman asked. Younger, maybe 25. 31 and a half years, Carol said. First time was 6 months after the wedding. Last time was a month ago. Put me in the hospital. Broke 3 ribs. That's when my daughter found out. Made me leave. I'm staying with her now. Becca did the math. This woman had endured 3 decades of violence, had believed 32 years worth of apologies. How long would Becca have stayed if her father hadn't shown up? Mine never laid a hand on me, the younger woman said. Her name tag read Jessica. But he destroyed me anyway, made me believe I was worthless, stupid, lucky anyone would want me. I left when I realized I'd rather be alone forever than spend one more day with him. Around the circle they went. Different stories, same patterns, isolation, control, violence, apologies, promises, repeat. One woman described checking her phone constantly, afraid of missing his call, afraid of what would happen if she didn't respond fast enough. The anxiety so intense she couldn't focus on anything else. Becca knew that anxiety. That specific terror, she thought she was the only one who felt it, the only one who jumped every time her phone buzzed, who felt sick if she didn't respond immediately. But she wasn't alone. These women knew. They understood. You'll probably leave and go back, Sharon said. Not to Becca specifically, to all of them. Most victims do, maybe once, maybe 5 times, maybe 20. That's normal. That's okay. We'll be here when you're ready. I'm not going back, Becca said. Sharon nodded, didn't argue, didn't challenge, just said, we'll be here anyway. The meeting ended. The women hugged, exchanged numbers, made plans to meet for coffee, to check in, to support each other. Becca left with a folder. Resources, phone numbers, websites, information about shelters and lawyers and therapists and safety planning. Her father was waiting. How was it? Hard, but good. They understand in a way no one else can. Your mother and I, we're here too, whatever you need. I know, Dad. Thank you. The next morning, Becca met with the lawyer her parents hired, Grace Barrett, best family law attorney in the state. Expensive. Robert and Patricia didn't care about the cost. Grace's office was downtown. Sleek, modern, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Becca felt small in the leather chair across from Grace's massive desk. Let's talk strategy, Grace said. No small talk, no pleasantries. Straight to business. We need to file for divorce immediately, emergency custody, extend the restraining order. Get ahead of whatever story he's building. He's going to fight this. Of course he is. He'll say you're unstable, that you're keeping his daughter from him, that he's the victim, that you made up the abuse to get custody. I have photos, medical records, police reports. Good, we'll need all of it. I also need you to write down everything, every incident, every threat, every time he made you feel small or scared or worthless. Everything. Everything. 2 years of incidents. Becca didn't know if she could remember them all, if she wanted to remember them all. This is going to get ugly, Grace warned. He'll hire a lawyer, probably someone good if his mother's paying. They'll attack your credibility, dig into your past, try to make you look like an unfit mother. I'm a good mother. I know, but they'll try to twist things, use your pregnancy against you, say hormones are making you irrational. They'll bring up any mental health history, any medication, any time you've seemed upset or emotional. Becca thought about the postpartum depression after Emma was born. Mild. She'd seen a therapist for a few months, got through it. Trevor had been supportive then, or seemed to be. Now she wondered if he'd just been gathering ammunition. I want full custody, Becca said. He doesn't get unsupervised visits. He doesn't get to hurt them the way he hurt me. That's the goal. But judges sometimes favor fathers. Believe men deserve second chances. We need to make it clear that he's dangerous, that unsupervised contact puts the children at risk. The restraining order is just paper, Grace continued. He can still hurt you, so we need a safety plan. You need to be prepared for him to violate it, to show up at your work, your parents' house, wherever he thinks you might be. What do I do if he finds me? You call 911 immediately. You get somewhere public, somewhere with witnesses. You document everything, and you don't engage, don't argue, don't try to reason with him. Just get away. Becca's hands shook. She pressed them against her belly. The baby kicked, as if to say, I'm here. You have to protect me. I'm scared, Becca admitted. Good. Fear will keep you alert, keep you careful. Just don't let it paralyze you. Finding an apartment took 3 days. Something small, safe, affordable. Becca was on disability leave from work. Pregnancy complications. Which was technically true. Getting hit while pregnant counted as a complication. Her parents co-signed the lease, helped with the deposit, first and last month's rent. The apartment was tiny, 1 bedroom. Becca and Emma would share. The baby would sleep in a bassinet next to Becca's bed. It wasn't much, but it was hers. They bought furniture from IKEA, cheap, simple, easy to assemble. Robert spent a Saturday putting together a bed frame, a dresser, a bookshelf for Emma's toys. Emma helped by chewing on the Allen wrench and scattering screws across the floor. Good job, sweetheart, Patricia said, rescuing the hardware before Emma could swallow it. Very helpful. Becca sat on the floor, too pregnant to be much use, her belly in the way of everything. She directed instead, handed her father pieces, read instructions. This shelf is upside down, she said. Robert squinted at it, turned it over. How can you tell? The holes are on the wrong side. They all look the same to me. Patricia laughed. Just do what she says, Robert. Becca knows what she's doing. Did she? Becca wasn't sure. She'd never lived alone, went from her parents' house to college dorms to marrying Trevor. She'd never paid her own bills, never signed her own lease, never made decisions without asking permission. This apartment was the first space that was truly hers. She could leave dishes in the sink, could watch whatever she wanted on TV, could exist without walking on eggshells, without wondering if every sound was Trevor coming home angry. Freedom felt strange, unfamiliar, a little scary. Her phone rang, unknown number. She didn't answer. It rang again. She blocked it. 2 more unknown numbers called. She blocked those too. Trevor was using other people's phones, trying to reach her, to talk, to explain, to apologize, to threaten. Who knew which version she'd get? She didn't want to find out. The first week in the apartment was quiet, too quiet. Becca kept waiting for something bad to happen, for Trevor to find her, for the police to say he'd made bail and was coming. But nothing happened. Emma played with her toys. Becca nested, made the apartment as homey as possible, hung curtains, put up photos, made it feel like more than just a hiding place. Then on day 8, Trevor showed up. Becca was getting Emma ready for bed, brushing her teeth, reading a story, normal bedtime routine. Someone pounded on the door. Becca, I know you're in there. Trevor's voice, loud, angry, drunk. Emma started crying. Daddy? It's okay, baby. Becca's voice shook. She tried to keep it steady, calm. Stay here, stay in the bedroom. She closed the bedroom door, Emma inside, safe. Then Becca called 911. My ex-husband is violating a restraining order. He's outside my apartment. I'm afraid he's going to break in. The dispatcher stayed on the line, asked questions, sent police. Trevor kept pounding. You can't keep my daughter from me. She's my daughter. The police are on their way, Becca called through the door. You need to leave. Not until you open this door. We need to talk. There's nothing to talk about. You're being ridiculous. I made one mistake, one, and you're throwing away our whole marriage? One mistake, like breaking her tooth was a simple error. An oops, a miscalculation. Leave, Trevor, before you get arrested again. Again? You had me arrested, my own wife? Ex-wife. The divorce papers were filed this morning. Silence, then, "You bitch." The door shook. Was he trying to break it down? Becca backed away, grabbed a knife from the kitchen. She didn't want to use it. Didn't think she could, but having it made her feel safer. Sirens, red and blue lights flashing through the window. The pounding stopped. Footsteps. Running. But the police were faster. They caught Trevor in the parking lot, put him in handcuffs, drove him away. An officer came to Becca's door. "Are you all right, ma'am?" "I'm fine. My daughter's scared." "He's going back to jail. Violation of restraining order. Second time. The judge won't be happy." Becca nodded, thanked the officer, closed and locked the door. Emma was in her room, crying. "Want Daddy?" Becca picked her up, held her close. "I know, baby. I know you miss him. How do you explain to an 18-month-old that her father is dangerous? That he can't be trusted? That loving someone doesn't mean they're safe? You don't. You just hold her. Let her cry. Promise that everything will be okay even though you're not sure it will." The next morning, Diane posted on Facebook a long rant about how Becca was destroying her son, keeping her granddaughter away, playing victim, ruining a good man's life. Trevor's friends commented, agreed, said they always knew Becca was trouble, always knew she was manipulative. Poor Trevor, trapped with a crazy woman. Becca read the comments, each one a small knife. These people she'd cooked dinner for. People who came to Emma's first birthday party. They believed him, thought she was lying, making it up, seeking attention. Part of her wanted to scream the truth, post the photos, the medical records, the police reports, show everyone who Trevor really was. But Grace had warned her, don't engage on social media. Don't respond to accusations. Let his lawyer make mistakes. Don't make any yourself. So Becca blocked Diane, blocked Trevor's friends, made her accounts private, created a new normal where those people didn't exist. It felt like losing a life, losing friends, losing the illusion of belonging somewhere. But maybe she never really belonged there anyway. The custody hearing was 3 weeks later. Becca wore a conservative dress, covered the bruises that had faded to yellow-green, did her hair nice, put on makeup, looked stable, responsible. Like a good mother, Trevor wore a suit, looked repentant, sad, like the victim of a terrible misunderstanding. His lawyer painted him as a devoted father, worked hard, provided for his family, loved his daughter desperately, made one mistake in a moment of stress, deeply regretted it. In therapy now, anger management, ready to be the father Emma deserved. Grace presented the evidence. Photos of Becca's broken tooth, medical records going back 2 years, police reports, text messages, the incident with Amanda, the violation of the restraining order. Twice, the judge was a woman, older, gray hair pulled back in a tight bun. She'd probably seen hundreds of cases like this, knew all the patterns, all the excuses. She read through the file, took her time. The courtroom was silent except for the sound of pages turning. Finally, she looked up, looked at Trevor. "Mr. Morgan, you have supervised visitation only. 1 hour per week in a monitored facility until the trial." Trevor exploded, stood up. "That's bullshit. She's lying. She's trying to steal my daughter." "Mr. Morgan, sit down." "No, this is ridiculous. One mistake and I lose my child?" Security moved toward him. His lawyer grabbed his arm, tried to calm him down. "Mr. Morgan, if you don't sit down immediately, you will be removed from this courtroom and held in contempt." Trevor kept shouting, calling Becca names, calling the judge biased, calling the whole system corrupt. Security removed him. Physically, dragged him out while he screamed threats. His lawyer looked exhausted. "Your Honor, my client is just emotional." "Your client is violent," the judge said. Her voice was ice. "And until he completes anger management and proves he's safe, he doesn't get unsupervised access to that child." Next case. Walking out of that courtroom, Becca realized something. She wasn't scared anymore. She was angry. And anger was power. Becca woke at 2 in the morning. Not from a nightmare, not from fear, from pain, contractions, real ones. Not the Braxton Hicks she'd been having for weeks. These were different, regular, intense, starting low in her back and wrapping around her belly like a vice. She lay in bed timing them, 5 minutes apart, lasting a full minute each. She'd been through this before with Emma, knew what it meant. The baby was coming, early but not dangerously so. 38 weeks, full term enough, she called her mother. Patricia answered on the first ring. Becca, what's wrong? Nothing's wrong, I'm in labor. Silence. Then, I'll be there in 15 minutes. Start timing your contractions. Pack your bag if you haven't already. Call the doctor. Becca had packed her hospital bag 3 weeks ago, just in case. Trevor used to make fun of her for planning ahead, called her paranoid, anxious, said she worried too much about things that might never happen. But things did happen. Bad things. And being prepared wasn't paranoid, it was smart. She called her doctor's answering service. The nurse on call said to head to the hospital when contractions were 5 minutes apart for an hour. Becca had been timing for 45 minutes already. Close enough. She woke Emma, carefully, gently. Baby, we need to go to Grandma and Grandpa's house. Your sister is coming. Emma rubbed her eyes. Sister? Remember the baby in Mama's belly? She's ready to come out now. Okay, Emma didn't fully understand, too young, but she trusted her mother, let Becca dress her in warm pajamas, grab her favorite blanket, her pink bear from the hospital the night Trevor broke Becca's tooth. That night felt like a time ago, and also like yesterday. Time was strange like that. Patricia arrived exactly 14 minutes later. She came in without knocking, found Becca in the bathroom, another contraction, hitting hard. Breathe, baby, in through your nose, out through your mouth, just like with Emma. Becca breathed. The contraction peaked, held, released. She sagged against the bathroom counter. How far apart? Patricia asked. 4 minutes now. Then we need to go. Where's Emma? Living room, watching cartoons. They got Emma settled in Patricia's car. Robert would meet them at their house, take Emma for the day, maybe longer depending on how long labor took. Patricia drove carefully. No speeding, no running red lights, just steady, calm, the way she always was in emergencies. Years of being married to a firefighter had taught her to stay composed when everything was falling apart. Becca's phone rang. Unknown number. She ignored it. It rang again. Different unknown number. She blocked it. Trevor? Patricia asked. Probably. He's using other people's phones, trying to reach me. How does he even know you're in labor? I don't know. Maybe he's watching the apartment. Maybe someone told him. Maybe it's just coincidence. But Becca didn't believe in coincidences anymore. Trevor had ways of finding things out, had always been good at gathering information, at knowing things he shouldn't know. They arrived at the hospital, labor and delivery, the same hospital where Becca had been treated for her broken tooth, different floor, different purpose, but still full of memories. The nurses were efficient, kind. They checked Becca in, got her settled in a room, hooked up to monitors. The baby's heartbeat filled the room, strong, steady, reassuring. You're dilated to 6 centimeters, the nurse said. Maria, the same nurse who'd cleaned blood from Becca's face that night. Moving fast for a second baby, shouldn't be too much longer. Becca remembered the restraining order in her chart, the red flag in her medical records. Domestic violence survivor, high risk for complications. There's extra security, Maria said quietly. Just in case. We won't let anyone in who isn't on your approved list. Thank you. You're safe here. I promise. Another contraction hit, stronger than the others. Becca gripped the bed rail, breathed through it. Her mother held her other hand, counted breaths, reminded her she could do this. Labor progressed quickly, too quickly for an epidural. The anesthesiologist was in surgery, wouldn't be available for another hour. By then it would be too late. I can't do this without drugs, Becca said. Yes, you can, Patricia said. You're stronger than you think. I'm not strong. I stayed with him for 2 years. I let him hurt me over and over. That's not strong. You left. You protected your babies. You're doing this. That's strength. Another contraction. Harder, longer. Becca screamed. Didn't care who heard. Didn't care about being quiet or polite or ladylike. Just Let the pain out. That's it, Maria encouraged. Don't hold it in. Scream if you need to. Swear if you want. Whatever helps. So Becca screamed and swore and cried and pushed when they told her to push. At 11:23 in the morning, Sophie entered the world. Tiny. Perfect. Screaming her displeasure at the cold, bright world outside her mother's body. She's beautiful, Maria said, placing Sophie on Becca's chest, skin to skin, the baby's cries quieting as she heard her mother's heartbeat. Becca counted fingers, toes, marveled at tiny fingernails and the shock of dark hair and eyes that tried to focus on her face. Hi, baby, Becca whispered. Hi, Sophie. I'm your mama. You're safe now. I promise you're safe. This little person who almost had to grow up watching her father hit her mother, who almost learned that violence was normal, that fear was love, but she wouldn't learn those lessons. She'd grow up safe, protected, free. She's perfect, Patricia said, crying, happy tears and sad tears and complicated tears that came from knowing how close they'd come to a different ending. The nurse weighed Sophie, 6 pounds, 8 ounces, measured her, 19 inches long, checked all her reflexes and responses, everything perfect, everything healthy. What's her full name, Marie asked, for the birth certificate. Sophie Sullivan Morgan, Becca said. For now, when the divorce is final, we'll both be Sullivan. Just Sullivan. No connection to Trevor, no piece of him in her daughter's name, just Becca's family, Becca's heritage, Becca's choice. While they were filling out paperwork, an alarm went off. Not loud, just a quiet beeping at the nurse's station. Maria looked at her computer, her face hardened. Your ex-husband is in the building. Security stopped him on the first floor. He's demanding to see you. Becca's chest tightened. Can he get up here? No, we're locked down. He can't get past the elevators without a code. And security is with him. They're calling the police now. He knows I'm here. How does he know? I don't know, but he can't get to you. You're safe. 20 minutes later, a police officer came to Becca's room. Mrs. Morgan? Ms. Sullivan, Becca corrected. I'm taking back my maiden name. Ms. Sullivan, your ex-husband was arrested downstairs. Violation of restraining order. Third time. The judge revoked his bail. He'll stay in jail until trial. Relief flooded through Becca. He couldn't show up anymore. Couldn't call from random numbers. Couldn't watch her apartment or follow her or threaten her family. He was locked up. At least for now. At least until trial. She could breathe. Sophie nursed for the first time. Latched easily. Natural. Easy. So different from Emma, who'd struggled for weeks. Becca watched her daughter eat. Marveled at the instinct, the biology, the simple miracle of feeding her child from her own body. Trevor had made comments about breastfeeding Emma, said it was disgusting, animalistic, said Becca's breasts weren't sexual anymore, were just utilitarian. Ruined. She'd felt ashamed, covered up even in her own home. Weaned Emma early, before she was ready, before Emma was ready. Not this time. She'd feed Sophie as long as Sophie wanted. Wouldn't let anyone make her feel ashamed of nourishing her child. They stayed in the hospital for 2 days. Standard for vaginal delivery. Becca didn't mind. The hospital felt safe. Protected. Security guards and locked doors and nurses who understood. Robert brought Emma to visit. The toddler stared at her baby sister with wide eyes, curious, uncertain. Baby? Emma asked. Yes, sweetie. This is your sister, Sophie. Can you say Sophie? Sophie, Emma repeated carefully. She reached out one finger, touched Sophie's tiny hand. Sophie's fingers curled around Emma's, an instinct, a bond. She likes you, Becca said. Emma beamed. My sister. Your sister? You're going to help take care of her, right? Yes. Emma took this job very seriously. Wanted to help with everything. Bring diapers, find the pacifier, pat Sophie's back when she cried. Becca watched her daughters together. Emma so gentle, so careful, already protective of her baby sister. These girls would grow up close, would protect each other, would know that family meant safety, support, love without conditions. When they went home, Becca felt different, Not just physically, emotionally, like something had shifted, settled, solidified. She was a mother of two now, a single mother, doing this alone, or not alone, with her parents' help, but without a partner, without a husband. And that was okay. Better than okay. Better to be alone than to be with someone who hurt her. 2 weeks after Sophie was born, Becca finally told her mother everything. Not just the physical abuse, everything. They sat in Becca's apartment, Sophie sleeping in her bassinet, Emma napping in her room, just Becca and Patricia. Tea cooling on the table between them. Becca started talking. Once she started, she couldn't stop. Everything poured out. The names Trevor called her: stupid, fat, worthless, lazy, ungrateful, bad mother, bad wife, bad in bed. The constant criticism that wore her down made her believe she deserved his anger. The sex he coerced, when she was too tired, too pregnant, too sick, too anything. He said married people didn't say no to each other, said it was her duty, said she was frigid if she refused. So she stopped refusing, stopped having a choice, stopped thinking of her body as belonging to herself. The money he controlled, every penny. He said he was better with finances, better at planning. She had to ask permission to buy groceries, had to show receipts, had to justify every purchase. She had a college degree and a career, but no access to her own money. No credit cards in her name. No bank account he didn't control. The friends he drove away. Systematically, carefully. Your college friends are immature. Your work friends are inappropriate. Your book club friends are gossipy. Your family takes advantage of you. One by one, he found reasons why she shouldn't see people. Until her world shrank to just him, just their house, just the prison he'd built around her. The job he made her quit when she got pregnant with Emma, said she didn't need to work, said his salary was enough, said Emma needed her mother home. She'd love that job, event planning, creative, social, fulfilling, but she gave it up because Trevor said to, because good wives supported their husbands' decisions. The pregnancy he weaponized, said now she could never leave, said she needed him, said no one else would want a pregnant woman. A mother, damaged goods, the baby he said ruined her body, said she used to be pretty. Now she was just fat and swollen. Said he didn't find her attractive anymore. Probably never would again. Every cruelty, every manipulation, every moment she'd minimized or excused or accepted as normal. Patricia listened, cried, held Becca's hands across the table. I failed you, Patricia said when Becca finally stopped talking. I should have seen it, should have known. No, Mama, he fooled everyone. That's what he does. That's what abusers do. They're good at seeming perfect, at making everyone believe they're wonderful. I should have asked more questions, pushed harder when you said everything was fine. I wouldn't have told you the truth. I wasn't ready to hear it myself. Becca looked at her daughters, Emma sleeping peacefully, Sophie making small noises in her bassinet, and she made a promise. They will never see a man hit a woman. They will never hear a man call a woman names. They will never learn that love includes pain or fear or control. They will grow up knowing their worth, knowing their strength, knowing the difference between love and manipulation. This was her mission now, her purpose, raising daughters who would never accept what she had accepted, who would leave at the first sign of danger instead of the last, who would value themselves too much to stay with someone who hurt them. The divorce trial was scheduled for 3 months later. Sophie would be 3 months old enough to travel, young enough to sleep through most of it. Grace prepared Becca, told her what to expect, what Trevor's lawyer would say, what tactics they'd use. They'll attack your credibility, Grace warned, call you unstable, point to the postpartum depression after Emma. Say hormones are making you irrational. I had mild PPD, I got treatment, I recovered. I know, but they'll twist it, make it seem worse than it was, use it to suggest you're making up the abuse, that you're not thinking clearly. What else? They'll say you're vindictive, keeping the children from their father out of spite, that you're trying to punish Trevor for some imagined wrong. Imagined? He broke my tooth. I know. We have evidence. Photos, medical records, x-rays, dental bills he never paid. We have a strong case, but his lawyer will still try. That's their job. The trial lasted 3 days. Longest 3 days of Becca's life. Trevor's lawyer was good, smooth, convincing. He painted Trevor as the devoted father, the hardworking provider, the man who made one mistake in a moment of stress. Said Trevor deeply regretted the incident, was in therapy, in anger management, taking responsibility, doing the work to become a better man. Said Becca was overreacting, exaggerating, making a mountain out of a molehill. One slap did not make someone an abuser. Becca sat in the courtroom, listened to her abuse minimized, listened to Trevor painted as the victim, felt rage building in her chest. Grace presented the evidence methodically, calmly, professionally, photos of Becca's broken tooth, swollen jaw, bruises on her arms, her hips, her ribs, 2 years' worth of documented injuries, medical records from the ER, from her regular doctor, from the dentist, a pattern of injuries consistent with domestic violence, the x-rays showing the cracked tooth, the root damage, the need for an expensive implant, $4,312. Trevor hadn't paid a cent. The police reports, from the night he broke her tooth, from the violations of the restraining order. 3 times, each time escalating, each time more threatening. The text messages, hundreds of them. Apologies followed by threats, promises followed by accusations. The cycle clear even in writing. Detective Mitchell testified, professional, factual, described the pattern, the history with Amanda, the similarities, the prediction that Trevor would continue to be violent. Dr. Ross testified, explained the injuries, the force required to break a tooth like that, the impossibility of it being an accident. Amanda testified, flew in from Seattle, took time off work, spent money she probably couldn't afford, to tell her story in front of strangers and cameras and Trevor's hateful glare. She was brave, so brave. Becca held Sophie tighter during Amanda's testimony. Thought about how much courage it took for Amanda to be there, to face her abuser, to tell the truth knowing Trevor's lawyer would attack her credibility. And the lawyer did attack. Called Amanda bitter, obsessed, a woman scorned, said she'd lied before and was lying now. Amanda stayed calm, answered every question, never wavered, never backed down. The jury watched, took notes, looked at Trevor with increasing skepticism, with disgust, with recognition of what he really was. On the third day, the jury deliberated for 4 hours. 4 hours of Becca pacing the courthouse hallway, nursing Sophie, distracting Emma, trying not to vomit from anxiety. Finally, they came back. Verdict ready, the judge read it, divorce granted, full custody to Rebecca Sullivan. Trevor Morgan gets supervised visitation only, 1 hour per week at a monitored facility, must complete batterer intervention program, pay child support, cover medical costs, court costs, attorney fees. Criminal charges would proceed separately. Assault, 3 counts of violating restraining order, witness intimidation, terroristic threats. Trevor's mother screamed, actually screamed in the courtroom, "You're destroying him! That's your son! How can you do this?" Security moved toward her. The judge's gavel banged. "Order, order in the court." "You're destroying him," Diane screamed again, this time at Becca. "He'll never recover from this. You've ruined his life." The judge looked at Diane, calm, cold, unmoved. "Ma'am, your son destroyed himself. This court has simply held him accountable. Next case." Security escorted Diane out. She was still screaming, still blaming Becca, still refusing to see that Trevor was responsible for his own actions. Becca walked out of the courthouse holding Sophie, her parents on either side, Grace behind them, protected, supported, victorious. She'd won, actually won, full custody, child support, protection. For the first time in 3 years, Becca felt like she could breathe. 6 months after the trial, Becca stood in front of her bathroom mirror, early morning. The apartment still quiet, both girls still sleeping. She looked at her reflection. Same face, same eyes, but different, somehow. Stronger, clearer, more herself than she'd been in years. The tooth was perfect now, the implant fully healed. When she smiled, no one could tell which tooth wasn't real. The dentist had done excellent work, matched the color exactly, shaped it to fit her bite. The physical scars had faded, the bruises long gone. The soreness in her jaw disappeared. Even the ache in her ribs where Trevor had grabbed her that last time had finally eased. But the emotional scars remained, would probably always remain. Triggers that caught her off guard, sounds that made her flinch, moments of panic when a man raised his voice anywhere near her. She was in therapy now, had been for 4 months. A therapist who specialized in domestic violence survivors, who understood complex trauma and PTSD and the long road to healing. Progress was slow. Some days she felt strong, capable, ready to move forward. Other days she could barely get out of bed, could barely function, just survived hour by hour. But she was healing, actually healing, not just pretending, not just performing wellness while dying inside. She made coffee, the expensive French roast, used her favorite mug. The one that said, nevertheless, she persisted. A gift from Jen. Perfect. She sat on her balcony, still small, but big enough for a chair and a small table. She'd bought a plant, a succulent, low maintenance, hard to kill. It was thriving. The sunrise was beautiful, pink and orange and purple. She watched it, breathed, let herself exist in this moment. Peaceful, safe, free. Emma woke first, came padding out in her pajamas, rubbing her eyes, hair sticking up everywhere. Morning, Mama. Good morning, baby. Did you sleep good? Uh-huh. Can I have pancakes? Becca smiled. Sure. Want to help me make them? Emma's whole face lit up. She loved helping in the kitchen, loved feeling useful, important, valued. They made pancakes together. Emma poured in the flour, cracked an egg with only minimal shell pieces, stirred the batter while Becca heated the pan. Sophie woke crying, hungry, 7 months old and eating like she was making up for lost time. Becca nursed her while Emma ate pancakes, syrup everywhere on her face, her hands, the table, the floor. Becca didn't care. Let her enjoy. Let her be messy. Let her be a kid. Trevor would have yelled about the mess, would have criticized Emma for not being more careful, would have made breakfast stressful instead of fun. But Trevor wasn't here, would never be here again. And breakfast could be messy and chaotic and perfect. Becca was back at work now, part-time, 3 days a week. Her boss had been incredibly understanding, flexible, supportive. She'd gotten promoted 2 months ago, more responsibility, better pay, recognition for the work she'd been doing, the value she brought to the company. It felt good, really good, to be valued professionally, to have her skills recognized, to earn money that was completely hers. She'd opened her own bank account, her name only. No one else had access. Every paycheck went directly in. She paid her own bills, made her own financial decisions, controlled her own life. The freedom was intoxicating. She volunteered at the domestic violence support group every Thursday night. Her mother watched the girls. Becca went to the church basement, sat in the circle of folding chairs, shared her story with newcomers. Tonight, a young woman sat in the corner, 23 maybe, pregnant, visible bruises on her arms, terror in her eyes. Becca recognized that terror, had worn it herself not that long ago. During sharing time, the woman spoke, her voice barely a whisper. My boyfriend hit me last night. First time, he said he was sorry, he cried, he promised it would never happen again. The room was silent. Everyone knew what would happen next, because they'd all lived it. Do you think it was really the first time? Sharon asked gently. The woman hesitated. Well, he's pushed me before, and one time he grabbed my arm really hard, left bruises, but he was just upset. He didn't mean to hurt me. That's what they all say, Carol said, her voice kind but firm. Mine said the same thing for 32 years. After the meeting, the young woman approached Becca. How did you know it was time to leave? Becca looked at her, saw herself in her scared eyes, her defensive posture, her desperate hope that someone would tell her it was okay to go. I left when staying meant teaching my daughters that this is what love looks like, Becca said. I left when I realized the bravest thing I could do wasn't staying and making it work. It was leaving and starting over. The woman's eyes filled with tears. But I love him, and he loves me. He just has a temper sometimes. Love doesn't hit, Becca said simply. Love doesn't leave bruises. Love doesn't make you afraid. Whatever he's giving you, it's not love. But what if he changes? What if he really means it this time? Then he can change without you. He can get help and do the work and become a better person. But you don't have to stay and watch. You don't have to risk your life or your baby's life hoping he will keep his promises. The woman nodded, wrote down Becca's phone number, the domestic violence hotline, the address of a local shelter. Maybe she'd call, maybe she wouldn't, maybe she'd leave tomorrow. Maybe she'd stay another year, another decade. Becca couldn't save her, could only offer information, support, example that leaving was possible, that life after abuse existed. Trevor was in prison, 18 months total. He'd violated probation 3 times after the trial, each violation adding time, adding charges, adding evidence that he was dangerous, incapable of controlling himself. The first violation happened 2 weeks after the trial. He showed up at Becca's work, demanded to see her, made a scene in the lobby. Security called the police. He was arrested. The second violation happened a month later. He somehow got Becca's new phone number, called 67 times in one day, left voicemails that progressed from apologetic to threatening to pleading to violent. The third violation was the worst. He tried to grab Emma during a supervised visit. The monitor intervened. Trevor pushed her, tried to run with Emma. Security stopped him. Emma was terrified, cried for hours after, had nightmares for weeks. That was when the judge terminated even supervised visits, said Trevor was too dangerous, too unpredictable. He wrote letters from prison. Becca didn't read them anymore. At first she had, looking for something, proof that he'd changed, proof that he was sorry, proof that she'd made the right decision. She didn't need proof anymore. She knew she'd made the right decision. Grace filed the letters as evidence, each one proving Trevor still didn't understand, still thought he was the victim, still blamed Becca for everything. One letter claimed he'd found God, was born again, a new man, wanted another chance to be a father to his daughters, to show them the real him, the good him. The judge denied his request for modified custody, told Trevor to focus on serving his sentence and completing his required programs. Maybe in 10 years they'd revisit. Maybe. Becca taught Emma to use her voice, to say no, to set boundaries, to refuse things she didn't like. No more forcing hugs, Becca told her parents. If Emma doesn't want to hug, we respect that. Her body belongs to her. Robert and Patricia agreed immediately. Started asking Emma for permission. Can I have a hug? If Emma said no, they said okay and moved on. No guilt, no pressure, no, but I'm your grandpa. Emma learned that no meant no, that her boundaries mattered, that love didn't require physical affection if she wasn't comfortable. Sophie would learn the same lessons. Both girls would grow up knowing autonomy, choice, power over their own bodies. Sunday dinners became tradition. Every week, Becca's parents arrived with groceries. They cooked together, ate together, cleaned up together. Family time that felt healing. Robert brought toys for the girls, books, art supplies, things that encouraged creativity and learning and joy. Patricia brought wisdom, patience, unconditional support, never judged, never criticized, just loved. One Sunday, Emma asked about her daddy. Where is Daddy? Why doesn't he come see me? The question Becca had been dreading. She'd prepared for it, practiced her answer with her therapist. Shai's made some mistakes, Becca said. Age-appropriate truth. He hurt people, and when you hurt people, you have to go to a place called prison. It's like timeout for grown-ups, but much longer. When will timeout be over? A long time from now. Will he say sorry? Maybe, maybe not. But even if he says sorry, that doesn't mean he gets to come back. Some mistakes are too big to fix. Emma seemed to accept this. Kids were resilient, adaptable. As long as they felt safe and loved, they could handle hard truths. A year after leaving, Becca got a message from Amanda. They'd stayed in touch, texted occasionally, supported each other from a distance. Saw the news about Trevor's latest violation. You're doing amazing. I'm proud of you. They met for coffee, a cafe downtown, bright, busy, public. Both of them still preferred public spaces, still felt safer with witnesses. They talked for hours about healing, about triggers, about the weird guilt that came with being free. Do you ever miss him? Amanda asked. Becca thought about it, really thought. Sometimes, but I don't miss the real him. I miss the fantasy, the person I thought he was in the beginning, the mask he wore, but that person never existed. No, Amanda agreed. He didn't. What about you? Are you dating anyone? Amanda shook her head. I can't. The idea of trusting someone that much again, it terrifies me. I'm okay being alone. Better alone than with the wrong person. Becca understood. She felt the same way. Men asked her out sometimes. At work, at the coffee shop, at the park, she always said no. Not because she didn't find them attractive, not because she'd sworn off men forever, but because she wasn't ready, might never be ready. And that was okay. She didn't need a man to be complete, didn't need a partner to be happy. She had her daughters, her parents, her friends, herself. That was enough. Emma started preschool, 3 years old and ready to learn. She came home singing songs about shapes and colors and numbers. She made friends, played with other kids, had her first play date, a little girl named Zoe. They built block towers and had tea parties and laughed until they couldn't breathe. Watching Emma play normally, happily, without fear, without anxiety. That's when Becca knew she'd made the right choice. Sophie grew, hit every milestone, rolled over, sat up, started crawling, started babbling. Mama was her first word. Becca cried happy tears. Both girls were thriving. Happy, healthy, safe. That's all that mattered. 2 years after leaving, Becca moved to a bigger apartment. 2 bedrooms. The girls could each have their own room, their own space, their own territory. Emma helped pick out paint colors. Purple for her room, yellow for Sophie's. They spent a weekend painting, making a mess, creating memories. Becca hung her college diploma on the wall. Finally, she'd earned it. BA in communications. Graduated summa cum laude. She'd forgotten to be proud of herself. Trevor had always minimized her education, called it useless, just a piece of paper. But it wasn't useless. It represented her intelligence, her capability, her potential. She was Rebecca Sullivan, college graduate, mother of 2, survivor, volunteer, friend, daughter, employee, promoted employee. She was enough, all by herself, exactly as she was. Trevor got out of prison after serving 16 months, got time off for good behavior. Becca got the notification. Prepared herself. Prepared Emma. Daddy might try to contact us, she told Emma. If he does, you tell Mama right away, okay? You don't have to talk to him. You don't have to see him. Just tell Mama. But Trevor didn't contact them. Moved to another state, according to Grace. Arizona. Far away. Good. 2 months later, Grace called. Trevor violated parole, back in custody. What did he do? Failed a drug test, missed mandatory check-ins, got arrested for assault, different victim this time, his new girlfriend. Becca felt sick. Another woman. Another victim. Another person Trevor had fooled into thinking he was different, better, changed. Some men never learn. Some men couldn't change. Some men were just broken in ways that couldn't be fixed. 3 years after leaving, Becca sat on her bigger balcony, big enough for a table and 2 chairs and multiple plants. She'd discovered she liked gardening, liked watching things grow, liked nurturing life. Emma and Sophie played in their shared bedroom. They'd decided they didn't want separate rooms after all, liked being together, liked having company at night. Sophie, that's my doll. Share. No, mine. Normal sister fights, normal kid stuff, the sound of healthy childhood. Nothing to be afraid of, nothing to fix, just normal. Becca sipped her expensive coffee, watched the sunset, thought about how far she'd come, where she'd been, where she was now, where she might go. She'd survived, more than survived, thrived. She helped other women see that thriving was possible, that leaving wasn't the end, it was the beginning. She looked at herself in the mirror sometimes, saw strength in her eyes that hadn't been there before, saw wisdom, saw scars that had made her who she was. The trauma had changed her. No point pretending it hadn't. She'd never be the person she was before Trevor. That Becca was gone, dead, transformed into someone new, someone stronger, someone who knew her worth, someone who wouldn't accept breadcrumbs, someone who demanded respect, someone who protected herself and her children with fierce determination. She was still healing, would probably always be healing. Triggers still caught her off guard. Loud voices made her flinch. Angry men made her heart race. Unexpected touches made her jump. But she was managing, growing, learning to live with the scars instead of being defined by them. She taught Emma about healthy relationships, about what real love looked like, about respect and kindness and safety. Love should make you feel good, Becca told her. Love should make you feel safe. If someone makes you feel scared or sad or bad about yourself, that's not love. That's something else. Emma nodded seriously, too young to fully understand. But the lessons were sinking in, building a foundation, creating armor against future manipulation. Sophie would get the same lessons. Both girls would grow up knowing their worth, would never accept what their mother had accepted, would leave at the first red flag instead of giving second and third and 100th chances. The cycle ended with Becca, the generational trauma of accepting violence as love, of normalizing abuse, of teaching daughters to endure. It ended here, now, with her. Jen came over for dinner, brought wine. They cooked together while the girls played, laughed, talked about work and life and everything. "You seem happy," Jen said. "Really happy." "I am," Becca realized. "For the first time in years, I'm actually happy." Not performing happiness, not pretending, not faking it until she made it. Actually genuinely happy. Her life was messy, chaotic, hard. Single parenting was exhausting. Money was tight. She had bad days, days when she barely made it through. But even the bad days were better than the best days with Trevor, because she was free, safe, in control of her own life. After Jen left, after the girls were asleep, Becca stood in her living room, her space, her home, her sanctuary, pictures on the walls of her daughters, her parents, her friends, her life now. Happy moments captured and displayed. No pictures of Trevor. He didn't exist in this space, in this life. He was gone, erased. Nothing but a painful memory that grew fainter every day. She thought about the young woman from support group, hoped she'd left, hoped she'd found her strength, prayed she hadn't become a statistic. Becca knew not everyone made it out, knew some women stayed until they died, knew some women left and were killed trying to stay gone. She was lucky. Her father had shown up at exactly the right moment. Her parents had resources. She lived in a state with good domestic violence laws. The system worked for her when it failed so many others. But luck aside, she'd also been brave, had opened that door, had told the truth, had stayed gone even when it was hard, even when Trevor begged, even when he threatened. Those were her choices, her strength, her victory. She survived, more than survived, built a life worth living. And every morning she woke up free was a morning she'd won. She looked at her reflection one more time. Same face, different eyes. Eyes that had seen too much but survived anyway. She smiled. The implant was perfect, invisible. The physical evidence almost gone, but the internal evidence remained. The knowledge, the wisdom, the unbreakable strength that came from surviving the unsurvivable. She'd broken that night. Her tooth, her marriage, her illusions, her old self. But she'd also begun healing, begun fighting, begun becoming who she was meant to be. A mother who protected her children, a woman who valued herself, a survivor who helped others survive. She was Rebecca Sullivan, and she was free. 3 years later, Rebecca sits on her balcony watching the sunrise. her daughters playing safely inside. Her freedom no longer a dream, but a reality she built with her own hands. Some people asked if she regretted it, calling the police, leaving, destroying his life. She didn't destroy his life. She saved her own and her daughters. That's not regret. That's survival. That's love. That's strength. If this story moved you, do me a favor. Hit that like button. It tells YouTube to share this story with others who might need to hear it. Someone out there is sitting in their car right now, wondering if they should go back inside, wondering if it will get better, wondering if they're overreacting. They're not overreacting. And this video might be the sign they need. Drop a comment below telling me what struck you most about Rebecca's story. Was it her father's intervention, the courtroom victory, the way she rebuilt her life? Your engagement helps survivors find this content. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, share it with them. Sometimes a story is the permission someone needs to leave. Subscribe for more stories about ordinary people who survived extraordinary circumstances. Stories about courage, justice, and transformation. Stories that remind us we're stronger than we think. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is 1-800-79-97233. If you or someone you love needs help, that number could save a life. Until next time, remember, you deserve to be safe. You deserve to be respected. You deserve to be free. Thanks for listening. And remember, the door's always unlocked. You just have to choose to walk through it.